We do have some breaking news into you now. We have just learned from CBS News that the newsman who poignantly informed the world of the assassination of President John F. Kennedy in 1963 has himself died today. CBS News a short time ago announced the passing of legendary journalist Walter Cronkite. He was 92 years old. Cronkite spent 19 of those years as the anchor of the CBS Evening News. NBC's Matt Lauer now takes a look back at the life and impact of Walter Cronkite.
Dallas, Texas, the flash, apparently official, President Kennedy died at 1 p.m. Central Standard Time.
Walter Cronkite was a natural-born reporter who became as much a part of our lives as the events he covered.
Tension is mounting here at Cape Canaveral. Our interview with the senator will be entirely unrehearsed.
His steady telling of our history made him the most trusted man in America, chronicling the nation's triumphs and its tragedies.
Dr. Martin Luther King, the apostle of nonviolence in the civil rights movement, has been shot to death in Memphis, Tennessee.
He was a quintessential American. He came from the heartland. He wasn't flashy one way or the other, and his reporting was straightforward.
I just fell into whatever it is I do naturally.
In the hostile environment of outer space.
Born Walter Leland Cronkite in 1916 in St. Joseph's, Missouri, to Helen and Walter Cronkite Sr., he was an only child. An enterprising boy, his first job at age 7 was selling magazines, and later the Kansas City Star. He reported for his college newspaper at the University of Texas. At 23, Cronkite took the job where he would first make his name, as a wire service reporter for United Press, covering the Second World War.
Get me London, United Press Bureau. Make it snappy.
He learned to write, as he said later, fast, accurate, and unbiased.
It's just one of the most exciting businesses it can be.
Cronkite accompanied bombing missions over Germany and covered the landing of American troops at Normandy on D-Day.
I'm just back from the biggest assignment that any American reporter could have so far in this war.
After the war, he covered the Nuremberg trials. By 1950, a new medium beckoned.
History in the last 24 hours.
The brave new world of television. Edward R. Murrow asked him to join CBS News. At the time, TV was less reputable than radio, fraught with risk.
Unfortunately, however, the film seems to be upside down.
But for the young reporter, at the time, television was the future. Even without formal broadcast training, Cronkite seemed born for the job. It wasn't always hard news. For a time, he co-hosted the morning show with a puppet, Charlemagne.
How's it going? What's up?
But in 1962, he was named anchorman of the evening news, then just 15 minutes long.
Hello, I'm Walter Cronkite.
As Walter grew in stature, television news grew in stature. Cronkite made CBS News respectable.
Less than a year later, the news expanded to 30 minutes, and viewers increasingly tuned in to Cronkite, who saw his job as a mission to get the facts fast and to educate his audience. Sanford Sokolow was his longtime producer.
You kind of believed and trusted what he said to you because he had more experience, he had more knowledge, and it was in a day when news was a much more serious teaching tool.
He was family. He was someone who made us feel safe and secure.
Good morning, and it's windy.
For nearly 20 years, Cronkite brought the news to as many as 22 million Americans every night. His broadcast was the #1 evening show for 13 years. He covered presidents from Truman to Clinton and was fascinated by politics. He took us to convention after convention, perched in his booth over the floor.
Wait a minute.
Sometimes his emotions showed on air.
I think we've got a bunch of thugs here, Dan.
We're at T-minus 19 seconds.
When it came to American exploration in space, he was particularly excited and awed.
Okay, we're going to be busy for a minute.
During a tumultuous time in our history, his nightly sign-off became one constant we all counted on.
And that's the way it is.
Away from the anchor chair, he had many interests, a passion for fast cars, and song and dance, and most of all for sailing, a sport he shared with his beloved Betsy, their family, and others.
Stand by.
March 6, 1981. After nearly 20 years on the CBS Evening News, he anchored his last broadcast.
This is the CBS Evening News with Walter Cronkite.
Good evening, President.
Walter was the gold standard. He set the pace. He had this almost personification of integrity.
Walter was the ultimate television preacher who they came to be told everything's fine.
Walter Cronkite lived out the rest of his years still itching to cover the big stories that broke. He worried, though, about the fate of journalism.
The profession of journalism ought to be about telling people what they need to know, not what they want to know. We must be responsible if we're going to have the informed public that we need to have to make this democracy work.
Gotta see a script. Oh, yeah.
But in the end, Walter Cronkite remained an optimist who believed mightily in America.
Anything I've learned, it is that we Americans do have a way of rising to the challenges that confront us. There's reason to hope for the 21st century.